Welcome to the monthly budget tutorial. Now, the purpose of this document is to actually create a monthly budget for you and your family so that you can see what your expenses are, see what your income is, and where you can either save money or make adjustments to your spending so that you can either pay off debt or put more money towards your savings and retirement or put money towards a fun goal that you may have. So let's just start by giving a quick overview of what the documents are. There's 24 sheets. So for the year, you would need to print one of each sheet. So the first page is going to be each month. So with this document, we have the January budget. And the first block are the income, any income you have, and the second block are expenses. Now, following the actual budget sheet on the second page, what I wanted to create is budget notes. So for this one specifically, it's January budget notes. And what you're going to do, and the purpose is using the space to make notes about any other budgeting or expenses so that you can be better for next month, and you can also be better for the following year. And I will go in a little bit more detail in this page in just a few moments. So if we scroll back up to the first page, what we're going to do here is in this top box is list out all of your sources of income. So make sure that you fill in, you write down maybe the source of the income. You're going to fill in the date. So if you get paid maybe on the 15th and the 30th of every month, you would write that information down. You write the total amount or the amount that you get paid for right now. So let's go through about some of this information specifically. So your income can include any full-time or part-time employment, any child support, alimony, Social Security, any retirement, any sources of revenue and money coming into your house for you to spend. One thing to note though is if you are a full-time employee and you can list out your gross pay in the income, but then you would have to, any deductions that you would have to list that in the expenses. So it may be easier for you to go ahead and just write your net pay. So let me give you an example. So if you contribute to your company's retirement plan each paycheck, if you wrote your gross pay up here, that's the total dollar amount that you receive, then you would also have to write that as an expense. Your retirement plan, your Social Security, your Medicare, your taxes, everything that's listed on your actual paycheck, you would have to write that as well as an expense so that you actually have a true account of money that's actually getting deposited or getting cashed in your hand. And so what you're end up going to do is do a running total on the right hand side so that you at the last box should be your total amount of income that you have for the month to spend on your bills and such. So as we move down to the expenses, there's room for about 25 to list here if you want to do this manually here. So what we're going to do is begin by listing the name of the expense. If there's a specific due date, you want to list that as well. If there's a specific amount or maybe a budgeted amount, you want to list that as well. And then we're also going to keep a running total and balance so that at the end we're going to look at how much our income and also how much our expenses are. Now I would suggest that you start doing this in pencil so that you with an eraser so you can make adjustments if you need to. So what we're going to do in the expenses box is we're going to enter all our bills and payments due for the month. But I'm going to go ahead and have you group those into little categories here so that it'll be a little bit easier for you to think of and also write down all the bills that you may have. So start with your monthly recurring payments at the top that are very important, such as any mortgage expenses, if you pay rent, if you have student loans, if you have a car payment, if you have to make alimony. Your phone service and Wi-Fi are very important as well. This also includes like child support, child care, any medical insurance. You manually do a withdrawal to a retirement contribution or savings account, any credit card payments, things like that you need to list up here. So go ahead and go ahead and pause this if you need to and start creating your list of expenses as well. Now the next group of expenses are ones that are mandatory, like you need them to survive and live, but they can fluctuate every month. And this is where I usually get hit with not budgeting very well as well. So these are going to be like your phone service. Sometimes if you go over your phone service and there's extra charges, it can be your food expenses if you have to buy any pet food and supplies as well, and utilities. So especially electricity and water can fluctuate. If you have to pay sewer separately, if you have to pay gasoline for the car, anything like that, go ahead and any other transportation fees, put those in your expenses as well. Now the next group of expenses are things that are regularly in your budget, but you can cut if you need to, but you would also like to live somewhat of a normal life. So this is going to include things like gym memberships. If you have online subscriptions to like Hulu or Netflix or any of the subscription services out there for online entertainment. If you have any other entertainment expenses as well. If you buy clothing, if you have car maintenance, if you like to buy lottery tickets. You also need to look in the month and see if you need to buy any holiday gifts for your friends or family, as well as birthday gifts or any other special occasion items. And then finally, the last box here, it's people may have a tendency to forget about these, but you need to be sure to add in expenses that are due quarterly or annually. And this can be life insurance payments. For me, it's also computer security that's paid once a month or once a year. So I need to make sure that I get that expense in the month that it is due. So once you go through this, and it's going to take some time to write down most of your expenses, one thing you can do is obviously start keeping track of your bills that you receive in the mail or via online. But you can also go back and look at maybe a bank statement where you've already made some of these expenses for the previous month, as well as any receipts you have lying around or anything like that, anything you've been tracking already. This can help give you a sense of where you're actually spending your money. So what we're going to do then in the right hand column is total the amount that you are spending as you go along. So if you pay your rent and it's $800 a month, you pay car payment for $200 a month. So far you're up to $1,000. That would be 800 plus the 200. That makes it 1,000 over in this column. And one thing that I would also suggest is to go ahead and have an item line for unexpected costs, because the first couple of months you're not going to get your budget quite right. You're going to be a little bit more frustrated, and I don't want you to give up, and I don't want you to feel like you're not doing it correctly, or you feel defeated because you didn't do it perfectly and you're not able to spend the money with your income quite right, or there is an unexpected cost. So if your friend asked you out to go to dinner and you didn't put it in your entertainment expense, but you wanted to go to dinner with your friend, so that will come up as well. So go ahead and add some money depending on what your budget is for the month. Add on an unexpected cost line, so that makes you just feel a little bit better about your budget as well and keeping on track. So the other item to note is, as you're going through your balance and you're going through adding all these items in here, if you're starting to get close to your total income, let's just say your total income is $3,000 that you have. That's your net pay. And then you're getting to $2,500 of things that you have to pay for, then you need to start analyzing, okay, I have $500 left. How much money do I want to spend on food? How much money do I want to spend on gifts, clothing, anything like that? And you may need to do an eraser and these last couple of items here. And if you have the last couple of items, you may need to go back and or make adjustments accordingly so that your income is going to equal your expenses. Now, at the end of the month, or as you go along through this process, you're going to start noticing where you may be over a line item or you may be under a line item. And that can be a good thing or it can be a stressful thing. So just for the first couple months, I just suggest use this as a tracking process so that you can kind of see where you're spending your money. You start noticing where you're not maybe budgeting as well, but things just cost more than what you thought. You didn't really realize that. So this is just an eye-opener, just so that you can see what you're doing well, maybe what you're not doing well, But it's not meant to be a negative that you're failing at anything. So definitely don't take that standpoint. Just use it as a guide to where you're aware of what you're spending your money on and where you can stop spending your money on. Now, when we move to the second page for every month, we have our budget notes. And as I mentioned before, we're just going to use a space to make notes about your budgeting for that month so that you can be better for the following month and also for January of the next year. And so that's going to help you make a better budget, and so that you can succeed, so that you can be more aware, and if you need to cut your costs, or if you want to save for a vacation, or if you want to put your money in your retirement account or create an emergency fund, whatever your immediate goal is, it's going to let you do that and be better and succeed better as well. So here in this, if there's an expense that came up that you kind of forgot about, and for example, if you are a member of an organization and they have their annual meeting in January and it's a $50 luncheon or a $30 luncheon that you have to pay, and you just forgot to put it in your original budget, that's okay. So what I would do is go ahead and write down that expense, maybe approximate date. If you don't know, it doesn't, the middle of the month, end of the month, anything like that, and then the approximate amount, so that next year you're going to look at this information for your budget, and that's just going to help you make a better budget for January of the next year. Now, one other thing I believe you should note, and you should take the time to do, is if you actually spent less than your income, you need to write down what you did with that extra money. Whether you put it in savings, whether you put it in your retirement, whatever you did. If you went ahead and bought, say for February, you know that you have several birthday gifts to buy for that month, and you went ahead and just bought a gift in advance, go ahead and write that down. That's fine. That's an expense you have going forward. It's going to make that budget next month a little bit easier. But if you took that extra money and you put an extra principal payment towards a loan, write that down. That's something you need to be proud of as well. And then the last box here is just additional notes. If there's anything you think you can do better, you spent better, or even if there was an unexpected cost that came up that you just weren't thinking about and it just totally blew your budget, you can write that down too, so that you don't feel discouraged, because the whole point of this budget, because you're going to spend a couple of hours a month going through this, either by yourself or with a partner or if your family, is so that it's a communication tool, first of all, so that everyone is talking about money, everyone is aware of what they're spending and such, and that everybody's contributing. Everyone's responsible, and they're responsible for contributing to the budget and staying within the budget. And so one thing to notice is if someone did something really well, put a note on there. If and just celebrate those as well. So this isn't just as a negative document. So I don't want you to feel bad if things happen in life and such, but use it as a tool to help you and your family become better at managing your money. Thank you.